Your brain just started eating itself. This is what happens after 3 days without sleep. Right now, at this very moment, your brain is consuming its own cells to stay awake. It's called autophagy. But here's the terrifying part. Once it starts, there's no stopping it. In 1964, a 17-year-old stayed awake for 11 days straight. He survived. But the effects? Permanent. His brain was never the same. Here's exactly what happens to your body, hour by hour, day by day, when you stop sleeping. And trust me, day 7 is where things get truly horrifying. But there's one effect nobody talks about. One change happening inside your skull that's more terrifying than hallucinations, more dangerous than organ failure. I'll show you exactly when it begins. First, let's start with hour 1. Hour 12. You've been awake half a day. You feel fine, maybe a little foggy. You reach for coffee. But inside your brain, the damage has already begun. Your neurons are drowning in waste. Every thought you have, every movement you make, creates toxic proteins called beta amyloid. Normally, sleep flushes these out. But without sleep, they're building up like garbage piling up in a city with no sanitation workers. Hour 24. A full day awake. Your coordination drops by 40%. You're stumbling. Your reaction time is slower than someone legally drunk. If you tried to drive right now, you'd be more dangerous than a person with a blood alcohol level of 0.10. But you're not tired enough to stop. Not yet. Here's where it gets weird. Your immune system just turned off. Think about the last time you pulled an all-nighter. Remember that strange floating feeling? Like you were watching yourself from outside your body? That wasn't exhaustion. That was your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that makes you shutting down to conserve energy. Now imagine that feeling, but it never stops. Hour 36. Inflammatory markers in your blood spike by 300%. Your body is attacking itself. But why does your brain force you into microsleeps? The answer is in your blood-brain barrier. And it's collapsing. But we'll get to that. First, you need to see what happens at hour 40-8. Hour 48. 2 full days. You see something move in your peripheral vision. You turn. Nothing's there. Congratulations, your first hallucination. Visual hallucinations start small. Shadows that move. Shapes that shouldn't exist. Your brain is so desperate for sleep that it's entering REM while you're still awake. You're literally dreaming with your eyes open. But the auditory hallucinations? Those are worse. Hour 55. You hear your name. Someone whispered it. You're completely alone. Hour 60. You hear conversations that aren't happening. Music with no source. Your brain is inventing sound to fill the silence. Creating stimulation it's not receiving because you're not sleeping. Day 3. 72 hours. This is when your body gives up asking. Microsleeps begin. These aren't naps. You don't choose them. Your brain simply shuts off for 10 to 30 seconds. Your eyes stay open. You're still standing, but you're unconscious. If you're driving, you crash. If you're walking, you collapse. If you're on stairs, you fall. Remember that terrifying effect I mentioned? The one nobody talks about? We're getting close. It starts on day 4. But first, you need to understand what's happening to your organs. Imagine your brain is a city. During the day, it's busy cars everywhere, construction, noise, activity. All that activity creates trash, exhaust fumes, waste, broken materials. Sleep is the night shift. The street cleaners, the garbage trucks, the repair crews. Without sleep, your city doesn't just get dirty. It starts to collapse. Day 4. 96 hours. Your body temperature regulation fails. You're shivering one moment, sweating the next. Your metabolism doesn't know if it's day or night, so it's guessing. Badly. Your hippocampus, the part of your brain that forms new memories, stops working entirely. You can't remember what you did 5 minutes ago. You're living in an eternal present, with no past and no concept of future. But this causes an even bigger problem. Remember when I mentioned your blood-brain barrier? Here's what's happening. Your brain has a protective wall, the blood-brain barrier that filters what enters your brain tissue. Sleep deprivation breaks it down. Toxins that should never reach your brain are flooding in. Inflammatory proteins. Cellular waste. Your brain is being poisoned by your own blood, and this is only day 4. Day 5. 120 hours. You've entered the critical zone. Paranoia sets in. Not mild suspicion. Full psychotic breaks. You're convinced people are following you, that your friends are plotting against you, that the government is watching through your phone. You're not wrong because you're crazy. You're crazy because your amygdala, your fear center, is in overdrive, and your prefrontal cortex, your logic center, is offline. You can't tell real from unreal anymore. Day 6. Your organs are failing. Your pancreas can't regulate insulin properly. Your blood sugar swings wildly. Your heart rhythm becomes irregular atrial fibrillation, skip beats, dangerous palpitations. Your kidneys are struggling to filter waste. Every system in your body runs on a circadian clock. Without sleep resetting that clock, every system is out of sync. It's like an orchestra where every musician is playing a different song. That terrifying effect I promised. It starts right now. Day 7. Day 7. 168 hours. 1 week without sleep. Your brain has shrunk. Actually, physically reduced in size. The gray matter in your frontal lobe has atrophied. MRI scans of sleep-deprived people show visible tissue loss. But it gets worse. Your brain is now cannibalizing itself on a massive scale. Remember autophagy? It's gone into hyperdrive. Your brain is breaking down its own synapses, the connections between neurons to harvest energy. You're losing your mind. Literally. What would you do in this situation? You're hallucinating, paranoid. You can't remember the last hour. Your body is shutting down. Would you even know you needed help? Day 8. Your speech is slurred. You can't complete sentences. Words come out in the wrong order, or don't come out at all. Day 9. You're having full conversations with people who aren't there. Day 10. You can't walk without assistance. Your motor control is gone. Day 11. This is the world record, held by Randy Gardner, 1964. He was 17 years old. Monitored by scientists the entire time. He survived. Barely. But here's what the scientists didn't expect, because there are people who can't sleep. Not won't. Can't. It's a genetic disease called fatal familial insomnia. And what happens to them reveals something shocking about what we just described. I'll tell you what scientists discovered. But first, you need to see what happens if you make it past 11 days. Day 12. Theoretically, because almost nobody has reached this point under controlled conditions. Your core body temperature is dropping. Hypothermia, despite normal room temperature. Your brain can't signal your body to generate heat. Your liver is failing. Toxins are building up in your blood. Your jaundiced skin turning yellow. Day 13. Multi-organ failure begins in earnest. Your heart, kidneys, liver, and pancreas are all operating at critically low function. Your brain activity on an EEG looks like someone in a coma. Except you're still conscious. Trapped in a nightmare you can't wake up from because you can't sleep. Here's the most terrifying effect. The one I promised. Your personality is gone, not changed. Gone. The neural pathways that made you your sense of humor, your memories, your preferences, your identity have been dismantled for energy. Even if you survive, even if you eventually sleep. Those connections are permanently destroyed. The person who went without sleep for 2 weeks isn't the same person who comes out the other side. Randy Gardner recovered physically, but he suffered from permanent insomnia and psychological effects for the rest of his life. The 17-year-old who went into the experiment wasn't the same person who came out. Sleep deprivation doesn't just damage you, it erases you. Here's what doctors don't tell you. This is why sleep deprivation is the perfect torture technique. It leaves no marks, no bruises, no scars, but it breaks a human being faster than almost any other method. In 4 to 7 days, you'll confess to anything, betray anyone, just for the promise of sleep, because your brain knows sleep deprivation is death. Just in slow motion. Day 14, the theoretical limit. Your brain has lost 20% of its mass. Your immune system is non-existent. A common cold would kill you. Day 15, death. Most likely from cardiac arrest or stroke, but possibly from brain herniation, your brain swelling and crushing itself against your skull. That's the theoretical timeline. But here's where it gets shocking. Fatal familial insomnia, FFI, a genetic prion disease that destroys the part of your brain that allows sleep. People with FFI stop sleeping completely. No medication works. No treatment exists. They last, on average, 18 months. 18 months of progressive hallucinations, dementia, organ failure, and psychological disintegration. Fully conscious the entire time. The longest recorded case was 2 years. The patient described it as watching myself disappear. Here's what scientists learned from FI patients. The timeline I just described? It's accelerated, compressed. In reality, without sleep, you'd last weeks to months, not days. But the end result is identical. Death. Inevitable. Irreversible. So why does this happen? Why does your brain need sleep so badly it would rather kill you than go without? 3 reasons. First, waste removal. Your brain has a system called the glymphatic system, basically a waste disposal network. It only works during sleep. Without it, toxic proteins accumulate. The same proteins found in Alzheimer's patients. Sleep deprivation literally gives you dementia. Second, cellular repair. Every neuron in your brain suffers damage during the day. DNA breaks. Proteins misfold. Membranes crack. Sleep is when your brain fixes this damage. Without sleep, the damage accumulates until the neuron dies. Third, memory consolidation. Everything you experience during the day is temporarily stored. Sleep is when your brain decides what to keep and what to delete, then files it permanently. Without sleep, your brain hits storage full and starts overwriting random files. Your brain isn't being dramatic. It needs sleep like it needs oxygen. But the craziest part? Your body knows this, and it will force you to sleep whether you want to or not. Remember microsleeps? Those 10 to 30 second blackouts? They're your brain's emergency override. You literally cannot stay awake forever by choice. Your brain will force sleep in small bursts, even while you're walking, talking, or driving. The military has tried for decades to create soldiers who don't need sleep. They've used every stimulant known to science: modafinil, amphetamines, experimental drugs. Result? Microsleeps always win. You can delay sleep, but you can't defeat it. Even Randy Gardner, with scientists monitoring him 24/7, keeping him active and stimulated, he had microsleeps. His brain was sleeping in tiny bursts while his body kept moving. Fatal familial insomnia patients? They have microsleeps too. Brief, unsatisfying, not enough to sustain life. But their brain tries. Sleep isn't optional. It's a biological imperative. Your brain will choose sleep over consciousness, safety, or dignity. Every single time. So what if you never slept again? You die, painfully, slowly, losing your mind, before you lose your life. But here's the unexpected twist. You're already doing a milder version of this. Right now, most adults are chronically sleep deprived, sleeping 6 hours instead of 8. It sounds minor, but chronic partial sleep deprivation causes the same effects, just stretched over years instead of days. Beta amyloid buildup? Check. Increased Alzheimer's risk? Check. Weakened immune system? Check. Emotional instability? Check. You're not dying in 11 days. You're dying in 11 years. The mechanism is identical, just slower. Every night you short yourself on sleep. You're running the same experiment Randy Gardner ran. You're just running it at 1/10 speed. The good news? Unlike FFI patients, you can stop any time. You can sleep tonight. The question is, will you? But what if instead of never sleeping, you never woke up? What if you were trapped in a coma, fully conscious, able to hear everything, but unable to move or speak? It's called locked-in syndrome, and it's more common than you think. Let me know in the comments what medical horror you want me to cover next. Sleep well tonight. Seriously.